we have all heard, especially nowadays, right, with the internet, that real estate can be an incredible option, incredible investment for the short term as well as the long term. And there's honestly a lot of advantages to real estate with tax advantages, and your ability to get loans on real estate it's relatively super easy. So there's a lot of advantages, but if you want to invest in real estate, whether that's flipping houses or rental income, whatever it is, things that you should be thinking about so you can make the best decision for you. So the number one thing when it comes to investments in general is you have to make sure that the numbers work, right? That it makes sense, that you're actually making a good enough amount of money where it makes sense to spend your time there, to spend your resources there, and to really get the most out of it that you possibly can. So in real estate, let's say you're flipping. Are you confident that when you're done doing all the repairs, doing all those things, you could sell it for what you think you can? Do you know the market well enough to be able to know what you could sell it for once it's all fixed up? And are you confident in your contractors, or if you're doing the work yourself, that it's not going to actually take more than you think it will? Did you get an inspection? Did you do those things so you know exactly what things are going to cost? You can't know exactly, but will you know an estimate of what things will cost as you go through that work and get it done? And you always want a margin of safety where if it costs a little more or you can't get as much as you want, you can still make money. With every deal, you want a margin of safety so that if things don't work out perfectly, which they never will, then you can make money still. And let's say things go phenomenally great, you will only make more money and not get caught with really small margins. And when it comes to finding rental property, a couple things to think about is, are you confident that you can rent that property? Let's say the last owner said, is that comparable to other things nearby? Never take someone's word for it, right? Always compare to what you know, maybe real estate agent, whatever. Talk to people that might know more about that area. Educate yourself so that you know how much you could actually make on that property. And are you making enough between your mortgage payment, all the repairs, everything like that? Is there enough margin between how much you bring in rent with all your expenses so that when you don't have a tenant in there, because eventually you're not going to have a tenant in there for a certain amount of time, between tenants, whatever it is, there's going to be times when you don't have tenants in there. Are you making enough money to have a margin of safety, like I said, so that when things aren't perfect, you'll be okay and you have some reserves to kind of finance the whole thing, to pay the mortgage, to pay the expenses, the insurance, the taxes, all those things. And once you get a new tenant in there, awesome. But so you could wait out the storm while you don't have exactly what you need, right? So those are kind of the things to think about when looking to either flip or to have tenants in there and to rent out your home. And a huge part about making the numbers work on a real estate deal is buying at a good price. Because let's say you get a property at a good price and you end up, hey, I don't want to do this real estate thing. Maybe it's not renting like you want to, it's not, there's more repairs than you want. You could always sell it for at least what you put into it, if not more. And that's because you got it at a good price. Now, if you buy something maybe more than it's worth, or you don't know exactly how much it's worth, that's when people get into trouble. Or maybe there's more repairs thought there were, and that's why getting an appraisal and things checked out before you purchase it make a huge, huge difference. So make sure you go with your eyes wide open. Only invest in locations and properties that you know pretty well, where you know what the comparable properties look like, so that you can make an educated decision. Because if you don't know what a property is worth, it's just guessing, right? You're guessing that you can make money, and you have to be confident that once you're done with that property, you can either sell it or rent it or whatever you should do or want to do to make money. But it starts with getting a good price. And despite what you hear or read on the internet, real estate is 100% not passive income, where it takes tremendous amount of effort to find properties, to manage properties, to rent them out, to find tenants, to do all these things, to do the due diligence enough to get a good deal, to make a good deal in real estate is not a passive situation, right? It takes a tremendous amount of effort. Now, once you get it set up, let's say with a rental, and you have a property management company come in and they often try to find tenants and fix things and do all those things for you. Does it cost a little more money? Yeah. But that's the closest thing that you'll come to having passive income once you get these things up. But it takes tremendous amount of experience to do it well, and a lot of work and knowledge to really do a good job here. So it's definitely not exactly passive, But once you get things rolling and you're good at it, it can get somewhat close. But one advantage that real estate has over basically every other type of investment is the fact that it is so easy to get a mortgage, get a loan for a property. For example, let's say you buy a property for $90,000. In this situation, let's say cash, right? You come in with 90 grand, you buy the property, you put 100 grand in, you fix it up, and then you sell it for about 120. So you invested in 100 grand and you made 20 grand, right? So that's about 20% return on your money in that deal. So now let's say you get a mortgage. Let's say you only put 20 grand in, right? Where you get a mortgage for the rest of the 70. You also put another 10 grand to fix it up. So total you put in 30 grand of your own money into the deal and the bank paid the rest. Let's say you fix it up pretty quick and so you don't pay much in interest and you sell it for 120 grand like in the previous example. So you only put in 30 grand, but you made the same 20 grand that you did before. So instead of just the 20% return that you did before when you paid cash, you made 66% return, right? You made 20 grand on 30 grand. So that's a huge return. That's huge, where you can't really get that anywhere else, including the stock market or anything else. So the power happens when you use leverage, when you use loans and debts to do this. Now, is it more risky? Sure. When a property goes south, you're still on the hook for that loan, right? And it comes back to, if you get a good deal on the property, you could still sell, pay that off, and you'll be fine. But you have to be smart in how you do this. You don't want to get yourself into trouble. Oftentimes people buy many properties, overextend themselves, and when the market corrects at all, home values come down, they lose it all. So you have to be careful with this, but it can be an incredible tool to help you do more deals and to make more money off the money that you already have. And again, for all these reasons, real estate can be an extremely attractive option because you're only competing basically with many of your local people around you, where someone from a different state, another city, is less likely to invest in your local real estate because they don't understand the local nuances of the market and what things are worth. It's hard to know. So you have a one-up on people that don't live there. So you can have a huge advantage investing in those things that you know in your market. And for all these reasons, it can be attractive. You can make a lot of money, but you really have to put the time in and be an expert in your local market. But if you could do those things, you can make a lot of money. But just like I said, with every investment, whether it's stocks, bonds, real estate, gold, silver, whatever it is, there's pros and cons. You have to match your investment style and what you invest in. You have to make that all match to your lifestyle, your goals, and what you want out of life. And if real estate makes sense for you, do it. It can be an incredible option. Many people have made fortunes in real estate, but many people have made fortunes in just about every investment option. What makes sense for you? Make an educated decision. And real estate is definitely not passive, like I said. So go in with your eyes wide open, so you know what you're getting into and so that you can make the best decisions that you possibly can. So again, I hope this is helpful for you and creating a financial future that you are truly excited about. And if you have any questions, comments, put in the comments below, and I'll see you next week.